Hey, happy Monday, everybody. Mark again here, Weatherman Plus, with your latest tropical update, plus your weather forecast. We do have severe storms for the lower 48 for today. I will put a timestamp in the description and go through that very quickly for you. First, I want to go through the latest tropical update. Now, we have Invest 96L back here behind Beryl. It is starting to weaken down a little bit. It's getting a lot of dust moving through, and you can see that next tropical wave coming off. The northern side is losing a lot of precipitation because of that dust. But Beryl actually is strengthening back up again from overnight because it did do a eye wall recycle. It did weaken down a little bit to a category 3 major hurricane. It's back to a cat 4 again at 132 miles per hour winds, 957 millibars, moving west at 18 miles per hour. Now, last time we had something this strong over here going towards Grenada was Ivan, Hurricane Ivan. So unfortunately, they going through this again with Beryl, and it's bringing a lot of very strong winds, still bringing the high 20-foot waves, and a lot of rainfall. Is going to bring a lot of life-threatening flooding, so please be careful over there. Showing it will still go into the Caribbean, get hit with that tut, get a little bit of shear, but also get a little bit of the dust following with it, going right by Jamaica, showing the latest track right below Jamaica. You're still all the way in the tropical storm wind field, but it is going to the west, still trending a little bit northern, but you can see the ensembles mostly agreeing right on this track as of the latest update. I will update this afternoon. Now, there has been an update from National Hurricane Center since me posting this video, so here it is. Jamaica, you have a hurricane watch now for the whole area, and this will become a hurricane warning as it gets closer. Please prepare for possible hurricane force winds along with all this flooding. This storm is wobbling so much, the track and trajectory of it is just going north-south, north-south. On the latest, shows it will still be a hurricane as it goes towards the Yucatan, so you need to pay attention to that. And going into the Bay of Campeche as a tropical storm, weakening down from landfall, weakening down from the tut, and some dry air is getting involved in it. Still showing there's chances for a turning, but now it's showing more of a chance it will just stay around the western Gulf of Mexico. Still got that possible stall happening, headed to the north or still headed into the west. Plus Invest 96L, because the trend always been, if you've never been here before, the trend always been that 95L, Beryl, was going to eventually go to the western Gulf of Mexico, maybe southern Texas, northern Mexico, but 96L and the one behind that, the one that's just coming off the coast now, are the ones that are going to be making that northern turn that we need to keep our eye on. But still, you can see Invest 96L, it has gone down to the orange status instead of the red status because of the dust. Matter of fact, if you take a good look, you can see it was going through the eye wall recycle, and then it strengthens up. Instead of that southern track, now it's going back on that northern track, right through the Grenadines. So please be careful for this. There's a few islands that's all up here. There's about 10,000 people from what I can hear all the way in this area. So God bless you all, keep you all safe, and hope you will be okay. So the storm is re-strengthening back up to a category 4 once again, going right over the Grenadines. So far, it's starting to go a little north of Grenada, so that might be good news for them, but they are going to be potentially in the wind impacts. Plus, down here towards Tobago, they're going to be in the winds as well. You can see the banding going around with that system. Now you can see here on the Arome, A-R-O-M-E, whichever way you want to call it, this is a model that depicts future runs in 3D, and you can see it is picking up the winds. Mostly will be going to the northern side of it with a very powerful hurricane winds. You see how it starts going towards the northern side of Grenada, but then it passes right through with all those strong winds. So I think the southern side of the Grenadines is going to see the worst of the winds because of that as that moves along for today. So the latest tropical update is you have Invest 96L is going down to 60% in 7 days, 30% in the next 48 hours. Still, that don't mean anything for the Windward Islands. Right now, you're getting hit with a very powerful hurricane. So any storm system coming towards you, bringing some more rainfall, will bring some more very bad flooding. Not only what you're enduring from Beryl, but what's going to happen with this one, because at least a tropical depression is expected to pass by the same path. Now you see the latest update. They do have it as 130 miles per hour winds moving west at 20 miles per hour. So mine's a little bit different. It shows 18. But you see tropical storm warnings in the blue. The hurricane warnings in the red. And as it goes by Jamaica, now you have the southern side of Hispaniola with tropical storm watch. This will be warnings also as it gets closer. We're showing some winds coming your way. In Jamaica, you will be in a watch also. It's all about timing. Still showing that hurricane's coming right by you for Wednesday, and you can see potentially northern more of a track, and you can see how it wobbles. You see that wobble down, then up, right into the Gulf. Showing the latest intensity map for Hurricane Beryl. Still showing a lot of members that saying it's going to remain that strong Cat 4 all the way up to potentially the next 36 hours. It could go down to a Cat 3. Still very powerful. Then as you go on from 48 hours to 72 hours, now you're looking at this very powerful hurricane passing by Jamaica, anywhere from a Cat 1 to a Cat 2, and that could change in the next evolution if it does another wobble. This is not set in stone neither. And as you go towards 4 days, towards 5 days, showing that the dust will interact, the tut will give it some more shear, and it will potentially weaken back down to a Cat 1 hurricane going towards the Western Caribbean, maybe towards the Cayman Islands, more likely towards Yucatan Peninsula. That's where it's been trending, and it could go all the way down towards a tropical storm. Then it starts strengthening back up when it gets into the Gulf. This could change. I will update this afternoon. So you can see here from the GOES satellite as Beryl's going through the Eastern Caribbean. It starts going towards Jamaica, and look at this big plume of dust that's in between 96L and right behind 96L. So if that storm system speeds up or slows down, it's going to get swallowed and messed up by dust. It has to stay completely with that dust moving through the Caribbean to keep any kind of strength or to strengthen. But you can see for Beryl that is going right towards the Yucatan, so over towards Belize. That would bring more impacts a little southern on the Yucatan Peninsula. Then showing that dust will suppress that and keep that wave to the west-southwest potentially as we're going by the 6th. And you can see the Invest 96L trying to take that northern turn towards that trough that's coming in. But it shows that the dust will more likely push that and mess that up as well. Showing maybe a weaker wave trying to get together over here in between all that. Don't show any good rotation yet. Just a group of disorganized thunderstorms potentially. I will keep you updated. That's the latest evolution. And still showing the dust is still coming off. Also, you can see here that as it goes towards Jamaica, still strengthening up, still getting through that tut, some of that shear that's coming on, but it's still hitting it. And look how quickly on this model run with GFS, on this one takes a little bit northern track, but it does weaken it down as it goes towards the Western Caribbean because of that tut putting all that shear on the upper troposphere and goes right into the Gulf, right into the Bay of Campeche and weakens down. At the same time, keep the intensity with a grain of salt because right now GFS is showing it down to a 971 and it is a lot stronger than that. Latest track guidance shows in 48 hours, Beryl will be somewhere around here. Also, in between 48 and 72 hours, it's going to make that turn below Jamaica. There is a member showing a north side turn. However, all the members are in agreement still. It's going to take that westward push, and it could still take a little bit northern push. Now, if it takes that northern push is the one that's going to potentially go into the Gulf towards Louisiana. Still showing that westward push in 72 hours, potentially going by Belize all the way until 4 days, maybe a little bit longer. And then after that, potentially going to the west, a little bit less confidence, it'll go more to the northwest. Showing by the Canadian model that it still will take that westward jog, but still showing with high confidence, been showing it over and over. Latest run and the latest average showing it will still go towards Texas. And the latest from the Ural showing that Beryl would do almost the same thing that the Canadian is seeing. Matter of fact, you can see on the latest run, steadily going right towards Mexico. It's been doing that on all these model runs, but the average showing it still has an issue right here when it gets to the Bay of Campeche and whether it's going to go west or go right towards Louisiana potentially. This is showing your average. And you can see the strength still showing that it will be a hurricane or a strong hurricane in the Western Gulf. And finally, the GFS on Beryl showing the same thing. It's going to run into an issue somewhere's over here in the Western Gulf of Mexico and the Bay of Campeche. Somewhere's is going to be an issue on here, and it's going to decide whether it's going to go west, whether it's going to go north. I will have all the information for you this afternoon on an update. We will know more by then. Now, the hurricane analysis and forecast system, the newer system from last year, has already forecasted to be this strong, what we're seeing now. So they were correct. It wasn't just some crazy model because the Euro and the GFS wasn't showing that strength. You can even see right now it's showing down to a 962, and this is where it got an eye wall replacement and strengthened down to the 950s. But also you can see as it goes forward, depicting it will be that closer track towards Jamaica, and that closer track would be that more northern track. But you can see this high pressure expanding into the Gulf, pushing everything to the west at that point, showing potentially still a strong hurricane going towards the Yucatan Peninsula, going into the Bay of Campeche and weakening back down towards that tropical storm status, which is what's forecasted by National Hurricane Center now. After this is what we need to see. Showing the latest rainfall amount, shows still the Leeward Islands will be anywhere between that 1 to 4 inches, 2 to 4 in the darker greens. But as you go towards St. Lucia and you go towards St. Vincent, you're starting to get more towards that 4 to 6 inches of rainfall also for Barbados. But as you look for the Grenadines, they still got that 4 to 6 inches, and the southern towards Grenada and a little above it. This is right where that eye is going. You're in the 6 to 8 inches and 8 to 12 in the orange. You can also see eastern side of Puerto Rico, showing you also have the chance for 1 to 2 inches of rainfall, 2 to 4 in the darker green. For Dominican Republic, you also have that 1 to 2 in the light green, the 2 to 4 in the darker green, and the very highest peaks, you got that 4 to 6 of rainfall, also on the coast of Haiti down here. For Jamaica, the whole island 1 to 2 inches. The green, the dark green is 2 to 4. But just like I've been screaming for a couple of days now, the eastern side of the island is going to get the most impacts. You are looking at 4 to 6 and 6 to 8 with that darker color. A lot of rainfall coming your way. Looking like more and more impacts is coming your way. The winds also. Cayman Islands also 1 to 2 inches of rainfall so far. Showing the latest on the rainfall, you can see the track as well going towards Jamaica right below you according to the icon. You see how it goes towards the Yucatan Peninsula. Look at the Euro, showing almost the same thing, but it takes a drastic southern turn. And when you look at the GFS, it takes that northern track. But I'm still showing the winds will be an issue also. Might even get some 40 miles per hour wind gusts for southern Puerto Rico. Come by the Dominican Republic and Haiti, Hispaniola. You might get 40 miles per hour wind gusts as well, showing that it is getting closer towards Jamaica. Now, this is an icon model. It's only a 5-day model, showing it could get closer where you get that 70 to 80, maybe even over 100, 120 miles per hour wind gusts coming by. Now, Euro is taking that more southern track. All them high winds are right below you. We're still getting anywhere from 40 to 60 miles per hour wind gusts coming with it. GFS is taking that northern track, where it's still going to be the eastern island, but it might go somewhere towards Cuba or a little bit more of Hispaniola. So it's a little hit and miss. But you can see the Euro, you can see the icon. They're very close to it. Icon takes it a little bit northern, and we are seeing a little bit of a northern push, but the trend has been a quick southwestern push after this. So I still got to see when this is going to happen. So far, this is the worst case scenario so far. Only by one model. Euro is taking it southern. Latest evolution of Invest 96L showing it will strengthen up to that tropical storm. So unfortunately, you could be having a tropical depression, a weak tropical storm passing right by the Grenadines once again while you're already enduring flooding and damage. Another storm coming by bringing more flooding. You will flood very quickly because you're already saturated and flooded. So this wouldn't be good for you later on. And you can also see it's having issues with that tut and the dry dust after that. However, this one always showed the one that will take that northward push. You can go back and track through all the videos. You can see this one always showed that. Matter of fact, all the ensembles are agreeing that it will be right below Jamaica again as you go in towards that 5 days as it moves towards the same direction, the same path. Now, this is an automatic tropical cyclone forecast. So when you go by the Euro takes it very weak and still don't know what that's going to do. It all depends on how it's going to interact with the dust and how it's going to interact with some shear. You can also see with GFS showing that latest model run will go right below Jamaica, maybe go right into the western Gulf of Mexico also, but still showing it will be somewhat weak. I will keep you updated. The latest potential velocity anomaly shows that favorable environment that Beryl is doing, also showing sometime from the 11th through the 13th that we have something coming right into our area building up. So we do need to watch these next two waves. This could easily go right into the eastern Pacific, somewheres into the Gulf, maybe the Western Caribbean. I will keep you updated. You can also see the same thing with the Euro. For some reason, it has Beryl as a very weak system. It always did do that. And you can see the unfavorable environment is dealing with the sinking air, with the tut, with the dust. A lot of unfavorable environments. So I was very surprised in how strong that got. Plus, you can see for the 10th through the 12th, showing around the same area, something potentially is strengthening up that we need to keep our eyes open. Hopefully this goes into the Eastern Pacific, but it's just too close to know for sure. So here we are back at the long range again, and you can see all this unfavorable environment. That's why I was saying, hey, it looks like we're going on a break. This right here, that little bit is Beryl, Cat 4 Beryl, if you could believe that. So you can see also here something weaker, maybe by the 11th, but also showing as you go by the 13th and 14th, we have an area where something could be strengthening up, and this is looking stronger than Beryl, which is crazy. It's showing that low. You can also see after that probably some more dust just pursuing right off the coast of Africa still as we're going through July. Then showing just like a switch as we go from the 20th of July all the way to the beginning of August. A lot of favorable environment, a lot of lift, very powerful coming through, still showing that. Then after that, some more issues coming through for our Caribbean. But you can see why right here, I was like, hey, we're on a 2-week break. Nothing conforming that. That is not only sinking air, unfavorable environment, that is very strong. Now, unfortunately, we do have severe weather going with this also, so we have some storms coming through, not only for today, we also have them for tomorrow. This is going to be hitting towards the North Central, towards the Central Plains. You're going to be bringing some chances for tornadoes, damage and winds. Also chances for hail as you go through tomorrow. Also, it's going to move in towards Iowa. Then maybe some more coming around as we go the next part of this system coming through, the next storm coming through for Thursday, bringing more chances for severe weather. While you have Beryl going to the Western Caribbean right there on this model run and Invest 96L right behind it. Then after we go by this weekend, then we get that trough system coming in, trying to pull some systems to the north. Look at that. And maybe a very powerful storm coming through Canada. So we have a big transition that's about to happen with all these waves and the pattern on the lower 48. Now, my afternoon update will be only about the tropics. For today, you do have chances for tornadoes. You have a 2% and a 5%. So far, here's your cities and states at risk for that. You also have chances for winds, even high winds. Chance of hurricane force, 74 miles per hour winds or stronger as you go through the evening. So here's your cities and states at risk for the damage and winds for today. And make note, you do have it for the southeast also. There also is a moderate level flood risk for the coast of Georgia and South Carolina. You also have the hail threat for today. Here's your cities and states at risk. You have a big 15% risk. This is going to move over towards the east for tomorrow. National Weather Service has severe thunderstorms will be possible today across the northern and central plains, especially parts of Nebraska and South Dakota. Areas of damage and winds and sporadic hail will be possible, along with a few tornadoes. Now, this will go in towards Iowa for tomorrow, and you do have chances for tornadoes for tomorrow. You have a 2% in the green, 5% in the brown. So far, here's your cities and states at risk for that. You also have the wind threat for tomorrow and chances for strong winds to pick up in that 30%. So far, here's your cities and states at risk for the damage and winds for Tuesday and your hail threat. So far, I'm showing a lot of it possibly coming towards Iowa, but just your cities and states at risk for the hail threat for Tuesday. But you can see your setup from here. So as you go through the evening, you're going to have storms start building up as it comes in through the Dakotas. But you also have down here this front that's expanding out, and that is bringing more storms towards Georgia and South Carolina. But these storms here are bringing chances for tornadoes, but they bring a lot of damage and winds with them the most. And it does stretch into Nebraska, northwestern Minnesota by the time you go through the evening. And as you go through the overnight hours, it starts going through Iowa also. You also get some for Colorado, some for Wyoming. But for tomorrow, look how this is overnight storms all the way into Wisconsin. And then for tomorrow, it's going to spark right back up. While these storms dissipate, you got more storms brewing right up for eastern Nebraska going in towards Iowa, maybe southern Minnesota, and going in towards Wisconsin as you go through the night. Very powerful looking storms, maybe even get into northern Missouri. By the time we get to the latest model runs, we get closer to that, and going in through northern Illinois for tomorrow night also, and start dissipating overnight. Showing so far all the way into this evening, bringing chances for high winds, anywhere from 40 to 50 miles per hour wind gusts in all of this orange, but all this red is going 60 and 70, even getting some 80 in there for South Dakota for those storms. For South Dakota and Nebraska, very high winds. Also for North Dakota and northwestern Minnesota. Strong winds coming with this system. Hail threats showing that you will get chances for hail for Wyoming, North Dakota, and South Dakota. Your biggest threat looks like Nebraska so far. And as you go into tomorrow, northern Missouri and Iowa and western Illinois, chances for hail also. Then for Wednesday, as it expands out and brings this front out, you have chances for severe weather. You have 5% and 15%. So far, here's your cities and states at risk. And don't forget, as we go through Thursday, another system coming through, we have a 15% risk. So far, it's a day 4. Here's your cities and states at risk for that also. But you can also see from National Weather Service that you're getting a lot of rainfall for today. And as we go all the way through Thursday, it starts adding up to a lot of heavy rainfall. You start getting 1 inch in all that orange. You start getting 2+ inches of rainfall for Iowa, eastern Nebraska, eastern Kansas, and northern Missouri also. Some of southern Wisconsin and western Illinois. Remember last week, I told you about this flooding coming this week. This is that flooding. Also for the southeast, because you have a moderate section now for Georgia going into South Carolina. But 1+ inches does stretch into the panhandle of Florida also. So for today, you do have a slight risk, a marginal, and a moderate level risk for flash flooding, with the heaviest being from Savannah, Georgia, going all the way towards North Charleston on your moderate level. So be aware of that. And you also have a big risk for the north central. You also have it for the southwest, for the Four Corners. You still got your monsoon kicking in, so you're still in that marginal. But you got this big marginal and this big slight risk. And as you go for tomorrow, it's going to sit there and go a little further, bringing that flooding potential again. Thank you so much for your time, everybody, and thank you to everyone that helps in this community. Share the video, hit like on the video, help get this in front of more people so they can just see what's going on with the newest information. Thank you so much. I appreciate every single one of y'all. Now remember, if you ever need help, always pray to God. Always repent and pray for help. Don't just mumble or anything, and don't just ramble on. Just listen. Just listen and say what comes from the heart. And sometimes just listening is all you need to do to hear God. Remember, the Spirit lives within you. So just listen. Ecclesiastes 5:1-5. Keep thy foot when thou goest to the house of God, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools. For they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with thy mouth, and let not thine heart be hasty to utter anything before God. For God is in heaven, and thou upon earth. Therefore let thy words be few. For a dream cometh through the multitude of business, and a fool's voice is known by multitude of words. When thou vowest a vow unto God, defer not to pay it, for he hath no pleasure in fools. Pay that which thou hast vowed. Better is it that thou shouldest not vow than that thou shouldest vow and not pay. Amen. Have a great day, everybody. I will keep you updated. Watch out for those storms coming later on. God bless you all in the Windward Islands. I pray for the best for you. I know it's going to be rough times. I know you can endure. I know God will keep you strong. Remember, all glory does go to God, our Father in heaven, Yahweh. And I always hope he keeps you safe every single day of your life, you, your family, and your neighbors, and forever. Amen. Hallelujah. Amen. Have a great day, everybody, and be safe.